So here is the building right here. This is where we gotta pull the car out and take it to somewhere else. Alright, so before we go into this seemingly random garage and dig out this old car, I think some explanation is needed. This 1977 Oldsmobile 442 is my dad's old car that he bought back in 1985 so that he could have a car to go to college. But not only did this car get him through college without problems, he also ended up driving it for a while after that, even deciding to get it repainted at one point. However, in 1993, the 442 started to knock pretty bad, and he also got engaged to my mom around this time too. So because of all that, it ended up being put in this garage here where it's been sitting ever since. So here it is, guys, sitting for 30 years. It's a 77 Oldsmobile 442 and it's all in pretty good shape, but the fact that this is painted to begin with is kind of unusual for us. Well, one thing we figured out when trying to open up these doors is that this garage is extremely old. So old, in fact, that the guy across the street has one just like it. He's tearing his down today.
Drake venturing the dangers. Don't dent the hood. Come around the...
Too much respect for this car to slide across the hood. So I'm just gonna slide across the trunk with it. It's a tight fit. One thing that kind of caused a problem while we were working on getting it pulled out was the angle that it was sitting in the garage. It was not centered and it didn't line up with the door at all, so in order to make more clearance, we removed an old shelf that was super close to the car. It probably would have been fine if we left it there, but I didn't want to risk scratching it. Then we just finished airing up the tires that were all completely flat, made sure that the steering wheel and doors were unlocked, and we were ready to move it.
Alright, tires aired up.
Tires are aired up.
We ready to get it out?
I don't know.
Alright, so I think we're ready to tow it out, but somebody's gonna need to get into the car and actually turn the wheel while we pull it. Somebody else is gonna pull it in the truck. So, Drake, you wanna take the inside, or?
Yeah, I think you got it.
Alrighty. Alright, let's do it.
As I mentioned before, the car was sitting very off-centered in the garage, and I did talk to my dad to try to figure out why he parked it like that, or if it just slowly slid over time, and he said that the reason he parked it like that was so that he could still have enough room on one side to store more junk, which makes a lot of sense because this garage is not very big at all and you need all the space you can get. But we knew it was going to be tricky to get it out the door cleanly. So what we ended up doing was pulling it with the truck a little bit at a time in order to realign it with the door. And we experimented with about 3 different pulling angles, turning the wheel in the 442 as we went, and slowly but surely we pulled it outside almost perfectly. Yeah, almost perfectly. You see, we just slightly miscalculated the angle it was going to go through the door, and we ended up clipping the bumper on the side of the door, which at first gave us a little heart attack because the bumper was noticeably moved. But upon closer inspection, we discovered that the bumper was only held on with baling wire, which broke after we hit the door. But luckily, no damage was done to the car or the bumper. We'll just need to replace that baling wire. So now that the car is out in the open, we discovered that the front driver's side tire has already gone flat, and you can literally see it going flat in the footage. It's got a pretty big hole in it and it ended up causing some issues later on. But getting it outside also meant that the both of us could get a look at it for the first time. Even though it was covered in dirt and dust, it was nice to finally get a look at it from all angles. So the only extra thing we ended up getting out of this barn find here was these 2 swivel bucket seats. Now the seats that are in it aren't the swivel bucket seats, but since it was an option, I guess at one point my dad bought swivel bucket seats for it. Never mind that they're the wrong color, but all that interior's shot anyway. I know you guys want to see this, but this, I'd be in the driver's seat right now. I could hop out with it swiveled, hop in, and I'd be ready to go. I'd still have to put my seatbelt on, but I'd be ready to go. It might need a little oil.
Get these ramps slid out. We've never used this trailer before, so we have no idea what we're doing. I don't know if we gotta pull these slides out or what, or how they work, but. So the trailer had some rotten boards on it, and we're worried about the car falling through, so we just laid down some of this wafer board here. And you know, that solids it up for now until we can get the boards replaced on the trailer anyways.
Loading this on the trailer did present a number of challenges. The first one being that hole in the driver's side tire that we fixed by putting an air hose on it, then just running the compressor continually.
Yeah, this is not the ideal setup. In a perfect world, this tire wouldn't have a hole in it.
The second problem was with the trailer. We just got this thing not that long ago, and at one point someone welded a custom ramp setup on it, which was very redneck, and it took us a while to figure out how that all worked. But other than those two things, everything went pretty smooth, and it didn't take us too long to load this and get it strapped down. Alright, so we just got this thing loaded, but you guys gotta check out what the neighbor has literally right next door. It's like a late 70s, early 80s Rally Sport over there. I don't know what. So some of you are probably curious whether or not this 442 is the next project here on the channel. And the truth is that we just aren't sure yet. Yes, both of us do really want to get this running and back on the road, but we've already got other project cars that's taking up space in the shop right now. Feel free to check out our other projects if you'd like to, because they're getting pretty close to being done, and when they are, we just might start this one. But in the meantime, it just seemed wrong to get this out of the garage and not wash off 30 years of dust. And with it washed off, we are finally able to see what this car really looks like.
Cleaned up pretty good. Man, it needs a good wax, but yeah, it's really not too bad. See where the some of the whites, that's not rust, that's just where the white paint's flaking, and that's just the darker paint underneath. It looks like a rust hole, but it's not. Like the wheels. I do not like the tires.
So the whole reason this video was filmed in the first place was that my dad wanted us to move this from that old garage to this one here. And unlike that other one, this one doesn't have electricity, so the compressor we used to keep that tire aired up wasn't gonna help. But we figured that since gravity was working in our favor, we could just use that to our advantage and just limp it down the trailer straight into the garage. Which did end up working pretty good, except for the fact that the flat tire slightly turned the wheel and was gonna leave the car crooked in the garage. Now, we are by no means perfectionists, but after working on getting this out of the last garage with it sitting off-centered, we decided to just go ahead and straighten it out with the floor jack just to avoid having to go through something similar to that again. And with that done, the 442 was in its new resting place till we're ready for it. 2P continued?
Yeah, like a Trans Am.
Just like, yeah. We're gonna get back to this project just like we're gonna get back to the Trans Am.
Yeah.